Hey guys, welcome to another Homelab Series video today. In today's video, we'll be having fun with setting up another documentation wiki self-hosted application. This one is called Docmost and kind of actually very similar to like Confluence if you ever used that. And kind of gives you very similar vibes to it, honestly. But it's really cool, pretty easy, and you can just there's a Docker image, and you can easily use a Docker Compose file that they provide to spin it up. So we'll get started, and we'll show you how you can install it and a little bit of some documentation. So let's go. All right, so the first thing that we will need to do is set up our server. So what we'll do is get our prereq stuff for our automation to work by updating our DNS for this new server so that it has a DNS record. So we'll update our serial number here and then update this and we'll call it Docmost in, and it's just an A record here, A, and we'll do 104 and we'll create that. So add Docmost. So that will set up the DNS for us, and then we will need to add this to our Ansible inventory so that we can allow Ansible to create and set up our server after it gets spun up. So what we'll do is go to our Ansible inventory. We'll add to the bottom Docmost, and we will save that. Add Docmost and commit that to main. So that essentially will cover all of the prereqs that we need to run our automation to spin up a new VM and install certain services on it. If you're more interested in how all those are put together, feel free to check my automation playlist series. There's a lot of fun stuff on how to automate things. So from here, we got our AWX, which is just our GUI console for Ansible to run certain various tasks. So in this case, we will be using Docker. So we'll have Docker with certs and Nginx set up on this server. So what we'll do is run through this workflow. The hostname will be Docmost. The new IP will be that IP that we put in our DNS, which was 104. So it was just that in our DNS project where we added, we just using the next iteration here. So 104. Then we'll have the VM name, so we can name it whatever we want. It's just what will show up in VMware. And then we got a proxy address. So we'll look up Docmost here to look at the documentation to see where it will essentially, and they also have a doc theme, best thing ever, how the doc file is composed. So looks like the app will be running on 3000. So what we'll do is HTTP localhost 3000. And we'll hit next and we'll let this all set up. So it'll create my VM on vCenter here. It will then patch it. It will install Docker and Docker Compose, which is a requirement for this, so that because we'll be using their installation for the Docker Compose here. And then set up the certificate. It'll create the certificate on our CA server and bring it over to our server that's being created. And then it'll set up Nginx forwarding to localhost 3000, where the application will run, and set up the certs in the correct location. So once this is done, we will log into the VM and finish the rest of the configuration here. So we'll fast forward the video and get started then. All right, now that it has finished setting up the VM, what we can do is open up a terminal. We can SSH to docmost.dragon.local here, and we can log into the system. So as part of it, Docker's installed and everything else is installed, so I don't really need to do anything in regards to that, which is amazing. So what we'll do is follow the documentation here. So we'll make the directory, change it into the directory. All right. And then we will copy this. We'll download this file, the Docker Compose file. And there will be just a few things to obviously update here. So we should replace this with a very long secret. We should probably update the database password. If we update it here, we should update it down here. And that looks like, for the most part, the main things to update, and then the app URL if needed. So what we'll do, and if you keep on going, you could read the replace default configurations. We will actually open this up, and I want to generate the random characters. Open SSL. So this is will be our app code. So let's replace this long secret with this. This will now be https docmost.dragon.local. And then we won't change the password, but if we were really doing this, we would actually change the password. So we would change it up there and down here. But we won't need to in this case. So looking through this, we got doc compose, we got the app secret, replace the strong password, update the database with a new password. The default file server is local storage, so you don't have to do anything unless you wish to use S3. In this case, we won't need to, so we'll doc compose up and then detach. Doc compose up and do it in detached mode. So essentially, this will run and update. And then when it's done, it should essentially be running on 3000, and our Nginx will let us proxy through to it. So we'll give it a few seconds here. It doesn't look like there's too much. It's almost done pulling and started. So we can do a docker ps, and we can see over here that it's running on 3000. It also sets up a Postgres server for the database and a Redis for caching. So what we'll do is now go to a browser. We'll type https docmost.dragon.local. It should bring us to creating your workspace. So we'll name it dragon.local, and our password. We'll set that up. And here is your first look at Docmost. It's pretty simple. You can get your spaces and you can put pages, but the first thing that we'll do is actually go to my preferences and change it to doc. And I personally like the full length page where it uses the full width, as opposed to just the new thing where it's like kind of centered in the middle. So we'll leave it as that, but we'll go back to Docmost here, and we can look at the settings. So it's pretty simple. You kind of got your settings on the left side here. You can create new pages. So Docmost, my very first documentation. So you can see that you can type / and get commands, which is very simple. Confluence has a very similar thing. So you can do, obviously, to do, text, headers, bullet, numbered list, quotes, math. For me, it's definitely going to be code boxes, because I usually do write code in like bash. So like echo, this is a code block, type situation. See how well that works. Looks like it works out pretty well, honestly. The other fun thing is documentation. Usually you have like, screenshots and whatnot. So I like to, create screenshots, copy and paste. So let's see if you can paste screenshots, which is amazing. That's always like one of my like, oh yeah, if this works, this is great. So even though I know this is recently pretty new, this already has a lot of like the base features that you would get. Also hierarchy, that you can put things and put it underneath. I think the interesting thing different here is there's no like, for example, child thingy. So like in Confluence, there's a like child branch and whatnot, so you can get like things underneath. So you don't have to like click this. You can go here and then like it will just show like a page tree. But that's okay. I mean, like honestly, at the end of the day, I look at documentation like this anyway. So, but you got tables, videos, things that you can upload. So I mean, for the most part, it's pretty simple. Doc theme, also best thing ever. I always hate looking at documentation and it just being a white background. So But it's pretty simple. You even got math inline and functions that you can add in here. So for documentation purposes, you definitely got a pretty good wide range of things that you can do here. So that's how you can get started and a little bit about Docmost. So if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!